Cascade is a notoriously broken mechanic and was introduced in Alara Reborn more than a decade ago, and now we got the 2.0 version, aka Discover, and it also turns out to be busted beyond imagination. Initially, people figured out that Quintorius Can is a deterministic game-ending one-card combo. Here's how it works. You build your deck in a way so that when you tick down to discover 4, you're guaranteed to spin into cards that can clone Quintorius, then you tick down the clone Quintorius to do the same thing, and you repeat this process until you eventually drain out your opponent with a static ability. And as if that's not wild enough already, it turns out that with a few adjustments you can do the exact same thing but with Geological Appraiser, and thus combo off a turn earlier. With its discover trigger, we either hit Glasspool Mimic or Release to the Wind, which let us discover again, or an Eldritch Evolution to turn the Geological Appraiser into a Trumpeting Carnosaur. That discovers for 5, which will hit either one of the cards we just mentioned, more clones, or a Quintorius, all of which let you keep the discover train going. Our primary win condition is using the last copy of Eldritch Evolution to put a Doomscar Giant in play to give the whole team haste and just win through combat. This version relies less on Quintorius, since discovering an Eldritch Evolution or a Glasspool Mimic by taking down just fizzles the combo without a creature on the battlefield, but it's still a solid backup plan. All we need to combo off by turn 3 is a Geological Appraiser and either a Magma Opus or a Creative Outburst in our hand, which really isn't asking a lot. Keep in mind that we get to mulligan quite aggressively, since we often actually want to start with less than 7 cards so we can move combo pieces back in the deck. One notable thing to mention is that we're not playing Leyline Binding, although that seems to be the consensus in this type of deck. Without fetch lands, I just found that it messes up your mana base too much. We really want our lands to come into play untapped, so triumphs are a little bit awkward, and we also need almost every land to be able to produce either blue or red on turn 2, so we can consistently pitch Magma Opus and Creative Outburst to create a treasure. So instead we're playing Colossal Sky Turtle and Repudiate Replicate as interaction. It's pretty sweet to have your interaction also be a combo piece, and the upside of having your interaction in the form of channel means that for the most part it can't get countered, and there's actually a lot of counter magic going around since it's a really solid way of combating all this discover nonsense. And that brings me to the other major reason I've moved away from Leyline Binding, which is the fact that we then get to play Cavern of Souls to solve that problem. Although it's not going to prevent your opponent from just countering whatever you discover into, at least you'll have your 3/2 on the battlefield, and if they don't deal with that, you might be able to just cast a clone from your hand to combo off the following turn that way. The full deck looks like this. It might not be the perfect 60, but I think it's got a lot going for it. There's a Moxfield link as well as a written deck list ready to copy and paste in the description. Now let's see this absurdity in action. Our opening hand has everything we need to combo turn 3, so it's an easy keep. Play the Glasspool Shore and pass. Our opponent leads with a Battlefield Forge into Thraben Inspector. We play another land and pass. Opponent plays a Gleeful Demolition targeting the clue, and convoke a Knight Errant of Eos in play. Really explosive turn 2, but it doesn't matter. We pitch the Creative Outburst on their end step, and it's showtime. This is a bad opening hand. No ramp, no appraiser, it's a mulligan. Same's true for this hand, mulligan again. This one's close, we got some interaction and we're gonna have to keep a hand pretty soon. And this one's not the worst, but still no appraiser, so we decide to go for yet another mulligan. And this hand got everything we need, so that's a snap keep. Put some combo pieces on the bottom. Play Glasspool Shore and pass. Opponent plays a Riverglide Pathway and casts Otherworldly Gaze. They put a Phoenix in the graveyard. We draw the third land, so now we're all set up. Opponent plays a Shivan Reef into a Sprite Dragon, and that means the game's over. Make a treasure, get the turn, We play the land and it's showtime. This hand's close to being okay, but in the name of greed we mulligan to try to find a hand with ramp. This one has ramp, but only Quintorius to start the combo, which is too unreliable, so another mulligan. This one's also pretty medium since there's no appraiser, so we mulligan. And still no appraiser. We have to keep this one and just hope to find an appraiser for turn 3. Play Glasspool Shore and pass. Opponent plays a Blooming Marsh and passes. Play the Pathway and pass. Opponent plays a Razorverge Thicket and casts Prosperous Innkeeper. We pitch the Creative Outburst and make a treasure. Innkeeper resolves and we get the turn. We draw a Carnosaur. Play another Pathway and put Kiruga in our hand, then pass. Opponent plays a Boseiju, attacks with the Innkeeper and then passes it back. We draw another Repudiate, so we just have to pass again. Opponent casts a Collected Company and find a Veto and a Seeker's Squire. So this is probably some version of the Explorer combo with Amalia. They get a bunch of triggers, and with the Explorer we see that Amalia is in fact on top of the deck. We just have to hope that these Repudiates can buy us enough time to combo off before they do. Opponent goes to combat and attacks with everything, and we're down to 13. They cast Amalia, and the life gain trigger from Innkeeper triggers Amalia's Explore ability, and they put a Temple Garden in their hand. They shuck it in and cast a Wildgrowth Walker, which means that they have their full combo assembled. We have to use the Carnosaur to get rid of the Wildgrowth Walker to stop the combo. They still get the life gain trigger and then another Explore trigger from Amalia, and we see another Wildgrowth Walker on top of their library. We draw a tapped land, play it and pass. They cast a Wildgrowth Walker. We use Repudiate to counter the life gain trigger from Innkeeper. But they have another creature and we're dead. So what's the conclusion? This deck is kinda busted. It feels more like playing Modern or even Legacy, considering the speed of the combo and the complete non-existing prerequisites to pull it off. It doesn't seem like an appropriate power level for the format at all. It's not like it's that hard to disrupt the combo, but it completely warps the game around having the right kind of interaction at the right time, and you absolutely must have a plan to beat this combo. Maybe the fact that Rakdos is still a tier 1 deck in the format is enough to keep this absurdity in check, although I don't even think the matchups that bad. A large portion of decks in the format just can't handle this. This goes way over the top of Mono Green and Phoenix, and it combos faster than Lotus Field, Grease Fang and Creativity, and it combos fast enough that you can mostly ignore all the aggro decks. That said, Thalia is a bit of a pain, but we have plenty of ways to deal with her. Blue-White Control is probably the worst matchup with all the counter magic and instant speed removal, but it's far from unwinnable. It's just a scary deck to have in the format, and actually the finals of the latest Pioneer Showcase Challenge was a Discover combo mirror. It was won by the Quintorius version though. Maybe people will adapt and it'll turn out to be not that big of a problem once the dust is settled. We'll just have to wait and see. That's all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll catch you in the next one.